Despite the huge potential of the water bodies, estimated at over 70% in trade transactions, Nigerian waters is designated as the most unsecure maritime space in the world. The International Maritime Bureau, that's the IMB, ranks Nigerian waters and indeed the Gulf of Guinea as the world's most at risk for piracy. It notes, for instance, that 73% of all kidnappings at sea and 92% of hostage takings occurred in the Gulf of Guinea. Now, vessels are frequently robbed while at sea or at the port by devil pirates bearing sophisticated and lethal weapons. Now, this old narrative is expected to give way for a renewed and re-energized maritime environment in Nigeria. The game changer is codenamed the Deep Blue Project. Now, it's a strategic outcome of synergy between the Ministry of Transportation and other security agencies. Now, the Deep Blue Project is designed to fight crimes and criminality in the nation's territorial waters and, of course, restore safety on the Gulf of Guinea in general. Now, at the inauguration of this landmark surveillance and security architecture, the Minister of Transportation, that's Chibike Rotimi Amechi, expressed optimism that this will herald a safe haven for maritime investment in Nigeria. So on Late Edition this week, we foray into the maritime sector to find out the prospects for a sustainable maritime industry in Nigeria. I am Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak. Thanks for joining me. Right, my guest today is Dr. Bashir Jamo. Of course, he is currently the DG of NIMASA. He has 25 years of public service and worked with the Kaduna State government before transferring his service to the then National Maritime Authority, that's NMA, in 1994. He was also the Assistant Director in charge of training and development in NIMASA. He served as a management staff in the operations and administrative departments. He holds a PhD in logistics and transport management from the University of Port Harcourt, a master's in management from the Korea Maritime and Ocean University in South Korea. He is at the moment pursuing another degree in law at one of the private universities here in Nigeria. And he joins me on Late Edition this week. Thank you very much, Dr. Jamo, for joining me again.
Thank you very much, Claire.
I'm glad you could squeeze some time for this program.
Thank you very much, Claire.
So let's start by asking, how is the Nigerian maritime space doing at the moment?
Well, we are doing pretty well, and we are getting to the root of the crisis we have been having up to December last year. You know, between October, November, December, we normally experience attacks on vessels, maybe average 6 times in a week, giving an average once in a day. That's the extent we have gone between October to December last year. And between January to date, we experienced significant decrease. From January to up to March, I think we were recording at least maybe once in a month.
Oh, that's significant.
From once in a day to once in a month. So, and we work hard, both the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, the Nigerian Navy, we continue to work hard. And what happened around October last year, we proposed a kind of shade Gulf of Guinea, where we invited all the international communities to come and join hands together with Nigeria, because if you look at the countries around the Gulf of Guinea, none of the countries can match Nigerian capability in terms of human elements, in terms of infrastructure, and in terms of funding. You can't fight piracy, you can't fight a war without resources. So we created a kind of shared Gulf of Guinea, and that shared Gulf of Guinea, we sit down every month, we discuss common problems, and we analyze it. We look at other areas where they experience similar problem, like Somali. You know, we used to hear this insecurity virtually from the Somali waters and Gulf of Aden, you know, Indian Ocean, as well as Southeast Asia. So there are a lot of experiences in those areas.
So basically, there's significant improvement in terms of insecurity on our water space. But that's just an aspect of, you know, our maritime space. And if you look at where we're coming from, Nigeria will be 61, you know, years. And one would have thought that Nigeria will be in the league of countries, you know, that are also turning life in the waters, you know, into revenue generation. That's why I'm going to, again, go back before we delve into the issue of security, to look at what we are doing to transform the resources underwater into revenue generation. Cutting down attacks from 6 a day to 1 a month. What does that translate to into Naira and Kobo?
Well, it's very difficult to analyze it just like that, but there are so many indices and there are so many things that you can see in terms of benefit. Now, first of all, you talk about improvement. You know, shipping is international by nature. Whatever happened in Nigeria is tried to say that that is the same thing happened in the United States, same with UK, same in any country in Europe. So in so doing, the international community sit down every now and then to assess each country's the factors that determine the development of that particular countries in terms of shipping, the factors of marine environment, safety, security, and other things. Now, the body that do assess such International Maritime Bureau, every quarter they will sit down and assess a country and give a kind of report card. As I mentioned to you, from January to date, we have been recording significant increase. The report of the second quarter, we are yet to get to the end of the third quarter. So by the end of September now, we are going to see the result of the third quarter. Now, the result of the second quarter shows that a decrease in piracy that Nigeria experienced, and that experience, they never recorded it in the last 27 years. The last they have seen that drop in piracy was in 1994. So 80% drop. So if we were, as you earlier said in your own opening remarks, we were recorded as the most dangerous water to trade in terms of shipping. Now, if that assessment showcase 100%, so it means by June this year, it remains 20%. That report indicates that there are a lot of zones that are higher than Nigeria. So in so doing, it's not only that we are doing better, but we are doing excellently well. And everybody is now shocked. What are the secret of the whole things? It's very easy. You see, when you look at, when you take at the stock of these criminals, I bet you clear, you can get up to 1,200 criminals fighting this piracy in our own waters. If you take the assessment, it's been restricted to the South-South zone, very few number of states. So if you have only 1,200 coming to disturb our waters, disrupt our trade, and you look at the estimated populations of Nigeria of 200 million estimate, you come to realize that how can 1,200 people now makes Nigerians sleepless? So that is number one. So number two issue here, when you look at the number of arrests we are making, and you arrest person, you start to interrogate that person. What happened? Who is responsible of what? How did you get into that? He will be telling you that so person finance the hire of the boats, so person gives him arm, he doesn't have money to buy arm, so person feed them, clothe them, and give them the little resources that they can survive. So what you need to do is to fish out those bigger criminals. So you push them out. As you push them out, you are now reducing the number of employing those criminals into the gangsters. So in so doing, you are now reducing the number of these crimes. Now, Nigeria fought a number of wars. Look at the ECOMOG. Look at the Liberian War. We went and successfully come back victorious. Everybody respecting us. So today's insecurity in Nigeria is the issue of coordinations. I delivered a lecture with the Chief of Naval Staff Conference, and I made reference at that time. You know, September 11 was about 3 or 2 days ago,
yes,
or 3 days ago, making 20 years in September 11. Now, history shows that all the relevant security agencies, they were aware that Osama bin Laden will attack the American soil. But the problem, the kids, they have their own doll, and they were fighting with one doll. They were busy fighting. This one is saying that this is my own. This one, the other baby is saying this is my own.
Rivalry.
And in so doing, rivalry. So in so doing, they were relaxed up to the time the Osama bin Laden, you know, attacked the American soil. They have the information. They couldn't utilize the information. So I was saying that the collaboration is the key. So if at the end of the day, we can all come together and collaborate and understand each other, that's what makes the ECOMOG war and other wars that we fought, Liberian war that we succeeded in it, and international community, they were respecting us. So
you know, now that you've thrown me into security matters so I have no choice but to follow you on track. I wanted to come from the issue of, you know, investments in the blue economy. And you've talked about insecurity, and that's why I'm going to ask you again. When you were just now, you said when you catch the criminals, they tell you, oh, this person procured this person procured that. Does it give us a sense of understanding of the nature, you know, of insecurity, you know, at sea?
Oh yes, not only at sea, even at the land. The issue of Boko Haram and other this banditry are the same. You see, Nigeria, we are faced with two types of war: war at the sea and war at the land. What is happening at the sea, they plan it on the land. It's not they will go to the sea and plan everything. So they have stages. They have pre-planning for the crime. That pre-planning stage, they do it on land. They go and recruit the younger Nigerians, indoctrinate them, train them, tell them what to do and how to do. They train them. And then they now target what type of vessel are we going to attack, for what purpose. Are we going for the product? If we attack them, we now, you know, remove the content of the vessels? Or are we going to take valuables from the seafarers? Or are we going to take, or are we going to steal or rob the ship itself? Or are we going to kidnap the seafarers for ransom? All these things are details where they started. That is the pre-planning stage.
Now, what is driving this motive? Is it quest for greater wealth, or is it lack of, you know, I don't want to use this poverty, everything, because if you address the issue, if you catch them, you know, more people, take up the trade. And it's been ongoing. Piracy has been ongoing. So if you use a military tactics to address it, do you think that is enough?
Well, you asked two questions, I think, at the same time. First of all, what is driving the criminality? There are so many factors. One, there is unemployment. Two, there is greed. Three, there is poverty. Four, there is a lack of awareness and understanding. You understand? So there are so many factors. Now, let me just limit myself to this. And when you talk of greed, some of them, they just feel that, for me to go and work at the end of the month and 150,000, 200,000 is meaningless to me. When I can go and attack vessel, and at the end of the month, maybe I may be able to get like 1 million or 2 million, because whatever you had, they receive as a proceed of that crime, at the end of the day, is meaningless. You will hear that it's very meager. The big men, they are the one that they are carrying. So this is greed. Now, there are criminality. There are some of them, they are just made to be criminals. And the majority of them is lack of employment. If a young person, you allow his, weight of energy and talent to be wasted, then there are tendencies to be an idle mind is a double workshop for them to start thinking of the criminal aspect of it when they are dragged into it. So these are some of the things that we do. Now, the second question is whether we can be able to deter them by, arresting them,
yes,
or fighting them. No, that is why we do a lot of things in the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency. I think in a couple of years, between I think 2014, 2015 to date, we trained over 2,500 Nigerians in the course of seafaring, in the course of ship captain, ship engineering, marine engineering, marine architecture, for them to come out and be useful to the society. And in so doing, you find that we are not only addressing Nigerian market, but we are also addressing international market. We specifically introduced this policy to address the issues of employment worldwide. Like when you go to Philippines, Nigeria's only source of revenue earning is oil. That is mono economy. But when you go to Philippines today, the human elements, the population they have, they train them as seafarers and send them all over the world. Something with India, Indonesia, they have this kind of policy. So what we try to do is to introduce what we call National Seafarers Development Program. And in so doing, we train young Nigerians abroad, not in Nigeria, to go and acquire degrees. And in so doing, they now make use of that degree and go and be engaged in the international ships.
Why did you choose to train them abroad? I know you have academies, Maritime Academy here in this country, and it's well equipped. Why did you choose to send them abroad for?
Yeah, it's a very good question, Claire. If you come to NTA now, you have different cadres of employers. You have management cadre, you have senior staff cadre, you have junior staff cadre. The Maritime Academy Oron is structured to train a middle manpower in the shipping industry, not the top echelon of the shipping industry. Yes, when they finish, they can be able to upgrade themselves. For instance, they acquire HND in the Maritime Academy Oron.
And I'm told it's also been upgraded to university status.
On paper. It's not yet in practical. Yes, they have been going up and down, and they are still at the National Assembly level. That has not been achieved. Okay. I think different government pronounced that they upgrade the university, but there are a lot of paperwork need to be done to make sure that we get the act approved by the National Assembly and it become into law. Okay. We have Maritime University, Okerankoko. Yes. They are just new one. These themselves, they are years to get their own act approved. But they are up and doing in terms of
when the seafarers, when they complete their education, what happens to them? Because I know most of the seafarers complain of lack of vessels to even practice.
Yeah, if you acquire a degree in say marine architecture or marine engineering or something like that, it's not the end of the story. It's just like you acquire a degree in law. So at the end of the day, when you finish, you have to go to law school, or you get MBBS, that is a doctor, medical doctor, you have to go housemanship and other things like that. So also, if you acquire a degree in marine engineering, you have to go to sea time. After the sea time, you have to go and write your own COC. Then before you become full-fledged an employee of the ship that have the prerequisite requirement. So the Maritime Academy Oron, that they are producing graduates in HND, when they finish, they also have to go to the sea time. In Nigeria, we don't have enough ships. We don't have ship owners. And the state doesn't have ships anymore. You are aware the Nigerian National Shipping Line is no longer in place. We plotted Nigerian Unity Line. That also crumbled. We are just working to see that whether we can now develop another national fleet for that. So it's been very challenging. But what we do, before I came in, when we sponsored these students to go and study the marine engineering, marine architecture.
That's on scholarship.
That's on scholarship.
And you had 300 of them recently.
We have, yeah, I told you we have 3,500. But when I came to office, I have so far trained I sent for about 300 now. I think 400 to be precise. Between last year and this year, I've sent about 400. Now, the backlog of those sea time, we have to send them for sea time. We send about 170. And then they will come back and write their COCs to be qualified, to be fully qualified. Now, you ask question, what do they do after that? Many of them, before they even finish, they will be engaged abroad.
Oh.
Many of them, the ships they serve as a sea time, they engage them. So most of them, they are not in Nigeria. We see them no more.
Yes, but we have lost resources and even the money investment on them.
We lost resources, but at the same time, you have to realize that we don't have ships for them to work. So if we don't have ships for them by the time we are getting ships, they have the choice whether they should remain abroad, just like our doctors. When they finish, they have the choice either to remain in Nigeria and work, or they have the choice to go and work abroad.
By the way, what is happening to the cabotage law? This is something that has been there for a long time, you know, to encourage indigenous ship owners, to encourage the shipping industry to thrive. Is it that they are not taking advantage of it?
No, well, you see what happened to the cabotage. The cabotage issue is a very interesting phenomena. You see, in life, you have to crawl before you walk, and you have to walk before you run. Now, we created a cabotage law in anticipation that, okay, this is a child that needs to crawl, walk, and run. So, in so doing, we say that the building of ships that is going to take our own coastal waters, when I say coastal waters within the territorial waters, must be built in Nigeria. And then secondly, the ownership must be Nigerian. And then the workers, that is the manning, the workers must be Nigerians. And then the registration must be Nigerian. So in the first place, you see what happened. We don't have enough shipbuilding industry to produce the ships that can go around. And then when we come to the ownership, our banks, they are yet to start granting the long term. Shipping is capital intensive. So, you know, the nature of business we do in Nigeria, we want cash and carry. So minimum, you know, the banks grant between 3 to 4 years grace for you to return, for the return on investment. And in shipping, you can go to up to 10 years before you. So the timing of the loan is a problem. So funding of it is very, very, very limited. We don't have alternative ship financing in the country. Now, the manning also, we discussed the Maritime Academy Oron. We mentioned some of the limitations, but we are now improving. We are getting full-fledged. Maritime Academy Oron is becoming a very vibrant academy. What we just need to do is to expose the academy to the international community. We open ourselves to audit, let them come and audit and see the gaps we have in terms of curriculum, where we will have MOU with the international community, so that there will be no discrimination in terms of our certifications. When the Maritime Academy Oron issued a certificate and somebody gets to Britain and they discriminate the certificates of Maritime Academy Oron, then we retaliate. When they come with their certificate, we also reject them. But if we don't have reason for that, then we will now let it go. Now, the third aspect, now I'm now talking to you on mining. Now, the third aspect is the registration. So our register, registry, ship registry, is a closed registry. So we are now working to see how we can blend between the closed and open registry so that we can relax a little bit and people will now be open for them to come. Now, this is what is happening with the cabotage. Now, in addition to this that I mentioned, there are issues of the stakeholder that always been grumbling, the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund. Since the inception of the cabotage in 2003, even though it started fully operations in 2004, we are unable to disburse the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund due to so many reasons. But we are working hard, and before the end of the year, I am hopeful. I'm keeping this one to my chest because there are a lot of controversies surrounding it, but there is no problem with that solution. At the end of the day, we'll make sure that we get the solution of this issue of cabotage vessel financing fund,
okay,
and we'll break the jinx.
Dr. Jamo,
we'll sure
just within the past 1 year, you have activated two very important facilities to drive the maritime sector. When we come back from the break, you talk to us about the Deep Blue project and, of course, the ship dry dock, which you have taken custody of.
Thank you.
This is Late Edition. We'll be right back.
Let's blow your trumpets. Advertise on NTA News 24, located at the headquarters premises of the NTA, Area 11, Guinea, Abuja. Our rates are affordable. Our reach is far and wide. We are on DSTV channel 419, Star Times channel 101, Go TV channel 46, Free TV channel 703. NTA News 24. News and more news.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Late Edition this week, and my guest is the Director General of NIMASA. Dr. Jamo, thank you once again for joining me on the program. Let me take up where you stopped. You talked about ship and the inadequacy, in the country, and the challenges, of course, of having a national vessel and all that. Just a year ago, you, of course, deployed the ship dry dock that is expected to save, or should I say generate about $1 billion, is it $1 billion naira or dollars? I'm not sure now.
Naira.
Yes, naira for
in a month.
Is it a month?
Yeah.
In a month. $1 billion naira in a month. And I'm wondering, if we have this huge gap in vessels, how might that translate? Talk to us about the dock itself, and then how.
Well, yeah, you see, when I try to analyze the issues of the maritime industry, first of all, Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency is a regulator. We are not expected to be part of the operators at the same time. So let me correct that notion, because some of the stakeholders that I've seen that they have been going to the media, insinuating so many things. But however, you see, there are three components, which I call it the enabling triangle. What is those enabling triangle? Things that can make, governance work. And what are those things? First of all, good governance. And in good governance, what are the signs of good governance? Interventionary policies. When you have a sector and is suffering from certain things, you inject, you try to make policies that will bring up,
precisely,
that will trigger activity into that particular things. So that's good governance. Then the second thing has to do with infrastructure. You must have infrastructural development anywhere you are. When you don't have infrastructural development, there is no how a good governance can strive. Then the issue is, the third issue is the security. So I'm waiting for you to come for the Deep Blue project. That's where the Deep Blue project comes in. Now, let me go back. The good governance is a policy formulating body. We have huge, traffic inflow, maybe not less than 1,000 ships that comes to within the Gulf of Guinea and Nigeria. And ships that come into the Gulf of Guinea and Nigeria, 70% is Nigerian bound or outward cargoes. Now the issue here is you have your own car. Your car do break down on the road, and you have to look for a mechanic to repair it for you. Same thing with ship. On your way from Britain to come to Nigeria, you can have problem with your own ship. And when you come to Nigeria, you don't have any ship repair industry.
No mechanic.
The mechanic. So that is where the good governance comes, the interventionary policy of government. Now government injected money. When they say that, okay, we are going to give somebody loan, they will return it back. Okay, they injected funds. They say, okay, let's buy a modular floating dock. This modular floating dock is one of the 5 biggest in Africa. I think in Africa, maybe 2 countries may have similar, or 3, Nigeria or South Africa. I think no any other country that has it. So the government introduced a policy of trying to see how they can revive the ship repairs and shipbuilding industry by buying that modular floating dock. Unfortunately, as at the time that policy was introduced, we wanted to use it elsewhere around the South. But unfortunately, no plan has been made to take that modular floating dock. Plan in the sense of drainage. It's huge. That modular floating dock is as big as the whole NTA, as you say. If you take the building, you put it inside, it will go into it.
So are we expecting to probably attract some of the vessels that, go to neighboring countries like Ghana, for repairs?
Oh, yes. Ghana, South Africa, all those countries. By the time it becomes fully operational, we will be able, now, how many of them do we have? The Niger dock that we have, if you go now, they are fully occupied for a year. Between now and next year, September, you may not have space because there is no availability of such facilities. That is why government injected funds to bring in the modular floating dock. Now, because we don't have that capacity, we have to work alongside with my supervising ministry, that's the Ministry of Transportation, to see how we can put this vessel into use, modular floating dock into use. I obtained approval, I think, sometimes around April, May last year, for me to start utilizing it within the Lagos axis. But by the time I obtained that approval, we are now constrained of so many policies. First of all, we don't want a situation whereby an individual will take the modular floating dock and manage, or government will manage. There is going to be a lot of mismanagement and waste of resources. So we decided that, okay, let us do a PPP arrangement, public-private partnership. And that public-private partnership would be that, okay, we have to get a space where we are going to dock the modular floating dock, or if I'm going to use a layman's point of view, where we are going to park it, where we're going to use it, where we are going to have workshop. We are lucky that MPA has what they call continental shipyard. Initially, they have similar one, smaller one. So we now contacted MPA, and MPA agreed to partner with us in so doing, so that we can go there and use their facilities in terms of workshop, and then we will now use their hard key in terms of, daily, if you park it, you have to pay daily. So this is the contributions of MPA.
How much are we looking at?
Well,
anyway, you have already told us. You said 1 billion. 1 billion. We should expect 1 billion.
I don't know whether you have enough money so that you can now stand as MPA. You give me your own contribution.
We're expecting 1 billion naira. But when will it be fully operational?
So that is the second issue. So MPA. The third issue has to be the managing partner. Who is going to manage it? Maybe instead of us to allow government to manage it and misuse the resources, spoil it, and other things, then we get the managing partner. MPA, you have this facility. This is the amount of the facility. NIMASA, you have modular floating dock. This is the value of the modular floating dock. So we give MPA percentage. NIMASA will take percentage, the managing partner will get percentage. We combine everything, we do business case, and we send it to ICRC. So ICRC, we're expecting within the next 2-3 weeks, we'll be able to get the certificates. Even though I'm just trying to, put this thing also in my chest because they're making noise. People doesn't know, or they know close to nothing. They go outside, they start feeding public with wrong information. So as soon as we get the certificate, these things belongs to government. We have to follow due process. It's not something that you wake up, it's not your own that you say that this is what you are going to do. By the time we get the clearance of ICRC, we report back to our supervising ministry. This is what we do, this is the process we follow. They look at the process, they make sure that we follow the due process. Then we take it to the Federal Executive Council. And the Federal Executive Council now look at it and give us approval before we now deploy it and start collecting the monies that is due. It's very disheartening, it's very painful that up to now we didn't start utilizing it, but anything that is worth doing well. So we must follow due process. We cannot start breaking the law because of agitation of the people
You'll be amazed at how much time we have spent so far. But back to the issue of piracy, because it's a very critical issue.
Yes.
If we must sanitize the maritime space, we must address the issue of piracy, square on. And that was the reason why the Deep Blue project was inaugurated by Mr. President.
Yes.
And of course, it attracted wide publicity. What has happened since then?
Well, thank you very much, Claire. Let me tell you what you did now. I made mention the enabling triangle. You have 3 legs. So we have discussed good governance. We have discussed the issue of policy interventions. And we mentioned how the interventionary policy has been put in place to acquire modular floating dock. There are other so many policies interventions regarding that. So we have done 1 leg. Now the second leg, it has to do with infrastructure. The modular floating dock itself is an infrastructure. So to acquire it, we are now putting infrastructure in place. So we have done the second leg. Now the third leg is the maritime security, which is now you are now discussing. Now, I just mentioned to you some few minutes ago on the issue of International Maritime Bureau reports, which signifies that in the last 27 years, we never had it good in terms of reduction in terms of the piracy. You see, sometimes it's not only for you to have the capability of addressing the issue of insecurity. First of all, you have to assess your threat. When you have a neighbor and you see him acquiring arm, you have to be very careful. This man is up to something. So you too, you have to be preparing yourself. Now, when these people, they are getting to the level of no return. So we have to start assessing their own capabilities. Now, after assessing their capabilities in terms of threat, then you now have to acquire the assets. So now we acquire the asset, and that asset has to do with 17 past interceptors. We have the 17 past interceptors has to do with water. So we have 3 components, water, air, and land. So let me start with water because that's where my area of concerns. So we bought 17 past interceptor boats, so that when we have any crisis, for easy response, we'll send this past interceptor any corner that's supposed to be. So we have 17 of them. Then we have 2 giant ships that we call it DB Abuja and DB Lagos.
Dynamic,
DB Abuja and DB Lagos means dynamic positioning. Dynamic positioning means you don't have to go to the fort, you don't have to go to the quay, you can go to the high sea and you stop there, and it has the capability of staying there, and it has satellite that will be seeing whatever is happening. The way I'm seeing you, that's how that vessel will see you wherever you are, and it generates information and send it to where. Now I have finished with the sea. I have 17 and 2
interceptor boats.
Interceptor boats. Now the interceptor boats, they have the capabilities of receiving information from the DB Abuja and DB Lagos. Where there is an attack or threat, they will send it to the past interceptors. The past interceptor will rush and respond to that particular attack. Not only in terms of insecurity, in terms of accident also. We are also responsible for accident investigations of at sea, search and rescue if there is accident, so they will see it and now respond to that. Then the second aspect of it, when it generates the information, we have what we call C4I. The C4I Center is the brain of the entire Deep Blue project. Whatever you have, you gathered, land, air, and sea, you send it to the center at the C4I Center. That is the communication center. It will now receive and now disseminate information.
I want to believe that, sorry, I want to believe that the deployment of this facility is responsible for the drop
to a large extent. To a large extent. You know, by human psychology, if you are in your office today and you know that nobody is monitoring your activity, you do what you like.
Precisely.
But if you know, I as your boss, I can bounce into your office anytime and ask what is the outcome of this, what is the, so you stand to be a little bit cautious and careful. So also crime.
For you, that will be a landmark achievement.
I think for Nigeria, it's not only for me. You see, the issue now, the issue of maritime insecurity is international, as I stated earlier in the beginning of the interview. You understand what is happening in America is what is happening in Nigeria, what is happening in Nigeria. And the God that created the world, you understand, he made the world 2/3 to be water, only 1/3 to be land. And he now created different type of human consumptions and human things that the human utilize for their own comfort in the different type of the world. If Nigeria has oil, they don't have iron. So Nigeria will go to, say, Germany and buy iron. And the huge quantity of that iron cannot be transported with a truck or any other modes of transportation. The biggest mode of transportation and easiest and safer is sea. So you have to use ship. So a German man can sell iron for you, and he will take his ship and send it to Nigeria. If there is no security in Nigeria, then there is a problem. So a German man would like to see that his vessel is secured, his workers inside ships is secured,
so
his investment is secured.
So there's more confidence now. Confidence is coming back on the water space.
Really, indeed. Okay. We have been receiving a lot of commendations from the international community.
Let's move on again. I know I think it's you call it the World Maritime University, talks about having to mainstream some of the SDG goals into maritime activities, for there to be stability, particularly goal 17 of the SDG, which encourages partnership. How are you leveraging on that?
Well, you see, before starting this interview, I concluded a shared Gulf of Guinea meeting, which entails in the partnership. And tomorrow we are going to do the second plenary that since the establishment of shared Gulf of Guinea. So the international community, and before that one, I came out from the Italian ambassador, where we discuss common interests in terms of the maritime security and other things. The issue of our helicopters, we bought it from Italy. They are trying to establish an office here in Nigeria to see how they can be servicing and training our people how to repair the helicopters. And in addition to that, we are now, since 2009 last, we got to the IMO Council. We have never been, elected back to the council. So we discussed the issue of IMO bids of Category C election. And they were happy to see that Nigeria is, beefing up to get back to the council, because Nigeria in Africa, whether they like it or not, it's a very important ally. So the issue of partnership is enormous in all ramifications. Be it the maritime security, be in the issue of trade. You see the African Trade Agreement is coming up, and everybody is willing to come. Without the security, nobody will come to you.
Talk to us about your rapport with the governors of the littoral states. I know you also had a cooperation with them. But how are they complying, or how are they
They are
playing their roles?
they are scrub now. They are you know in history in those days they taught us scramble of Africa, where these
Yes.
Oibo people, you know,
Uh-huh.
Portugal,
Yes.
Germany, they are, everybody is scrambling.
Yes.
So now everybody is now scrambling for you know the maritime agency or the maritime administration. And why? You see, when we came, when I came, the first thing I did was to look at what can I do different. And one of the things that I look at is that we have oil in Nigeria, and that's the only source of revenue. And the international community, they are busy saying that we have to look for an alternative to oil. And that alternative to oil has to do with probably getting alternative energy, using solar, using electric cars and vehicles. So in the next 10 years, if Nigeria or Nigerian believe that he will continue to enjoy the benefit of getting oil and get the revenue, sit down at the end of the month, share, everybody will get their own revenue, then we are joking. We are in trouble. So, but the God has created this water, and he did it as a natural endowment for the whole world. So if you don't have water, that doesn't mean that you cannot utilize the resources. It's a national heritage. It's a world heritage. The water is a world heritage. In the world, we have 30 countries that are landlocked countries, that they don't have sea. And so those 30 countries, out of the 30, 5 of the 30, they register themselves as part of the maritime states. And Niger is one of them. Whatever we do in Nigeria that we have sea, Niger will do it. So if the benefits comes, they will be able to do that. So my relationship with those littoral states is, okay, well, we will have to sit down and formulate policy on how we can harness the resources of our own waters. Okay. We have sea, we have fish, we have shrimps, we have gold underground.
Is that ongoing?
It's ongoing. Okay, we are finished with about over 6 governors. In fact, those who are not littoral state like Edo, I just came back from Edo state governor, I think about 2 weeks ago. They are willing to join us, and they are building now forts specifically for agricultural products. So, which is welcome idea. Okay, come and partner with us, NIMASA, and see how we can be able to.
I'm going to ask you 2 questions because I have less than 5 minutes to round up.
Interesting.
The first question is, I'd like for you to share with us the strategic document to develop our blue economy, which you engineered.
Well, the strategic document is very wide, clear.
Just give us an idea of what it is and what you hope to achieve.
Now the strategic documents will come in form of facts and figures. We have a sea, and what is there to harness in the sea. So we have to come out with facts and figures. Where are they, and how can we harness them? And what is the strategy in harnessing them? What is the implementation strategy? Who and who will have to involve? Is it the only federal government or including the state governments? So that is where the state governors comes. Now, if they come, each and every state governor that happen to be part of it, he will have to tell us his comparative advantage area. Okay. Let me give you an example. When the Bayelsa state governor came, he said, look, I'm interested in ship recycling industry. We said, okay, fine. Before we go further, we discovered that we have 116-year-old foundry in the Nigerian Railway Corporation lying idle. 116-year-old. And if you go there, some of the equipments are old as 116 years. So we told the authorities of the Nigerian Railway Corporations, we want to take over the foundry. The Bayelsa state government, NIMASA, bring resources, let's revive this foundry. Okay, we got a South African company who is very versatile in producing equipment and managing the equipment of foundry. So, okay, come and give us the equipment, let us know the cost. Then Nigerian Railway Corporation lets you do that. At the end of the day, we will now have a public-private partnership. We expect to employ not less than 1,000 Nigerians in such arrangement. And after that particular arrangement, we will now have to start producing and manufacturing spare parts of rails and billets and other things, this iron rod and other things from there. From where? The ships wrecks that we have and derelicts in our own waters. We made presentations to the Federal Executive Council, they approved. We are starting on 24th of this month, I'm inviting you, we will now commence formal, the total removal of the wrecks in the whole country, which will give our navigational areas and channels free from any obstruction, and which will increase the safety, which is one of the key issue of the, so when we remove it, we clean it, we take it to the Nigerian Railway Foundry, we now melt it. When we melt it, we produce other things like that. So these are the things that is going to be part of the strategy document that you are asking. So in so doing, we have Bayelsa State keying in, we have other states keying in, we have Nigerian Railway keying in, and we have federal government keying in. We have Nigerian at large, younger generations, they will have employment, we will have technical partners.
So you've virtually covered all the SDGs that, of course, all of them are interrelated, but those that specifically speak with promoting maritime, industry. You have, but lastly, what has been your major headache in, managing the maritime space? Is bureaucracy one of them? Because this is always a challenge for those wishing to do business or who have interest in doing business with us.
Well, when you are in government, you don't throw stones and so on's clear. As a newcaster, certainly there are things that you can see, there are things that you cannot say. But for everything you do in life, there are challenges. And your ability to get out of that challenge is what makes you a leader. You don't cry out. When you are given an assignment, it's a trust given to you. And those people that give you that assignment, they believe and trust in the judgment that you can be able to deliver.
What about support? Do you get from your supervising ministry and by extension, the government of the day?
100%. If without support, all these things cannot be achieved. You know the cost of the Deep Blue project. For the Federal Executive Council to approve it is support. For the Ministry of Transportation to initiate it and to recommend that NIMASA should be able to fund it is a support. So it's an ability. I think it's not the issue of challenge or bureaucracy, but definitely in everything you do there is a challenge. Even if you are going to sleep now, you will have some challenges.
In less than 30 seconds,
yes.
What is your vision of the maritime sector before before you say goodbye to
Well, I want to see the maritime sector that have the global outlook that I can be proud of. If a maritime sector, for instance, now I have been clamoring for the removal of the war insurance risk that is being placed on the head of Nigerians, and everybody is paying, including you. And the huge cost elements of the issue of that maritime insecurity brought about $0.7 million US. That's about $743 million US. The cost element, the hardship, the diversions of ships, the diversions of products and other things that cost. The economic conditions, all these things need to be eradicated. So I want to see a maritime sector that has an outlook of the global best practices and that each and every Nigerian can be proud of. I am happy today a Nigerian can walk to the IMO with his head high, and we are changing the narratives and we are changing the cost of things. The narratives given by the international community is no longer there.
All right.
What we need to do is to sustain it.
Dr. Bashir Jamo, it's been an interesting and enlightening conversation with you as always. I'd like to really appreciate you for joining me on the program this week.
Yes. Thank you very much.
And that's it this week on Late Edition. We have looked at how to strengthen the maritime industry in Nigeria, and a lot is being done. A lot is still, much more is still expected, of course, from the leadership of NIMASA. From me and the rest of my production crew, bye-bye.